Hi everyone, I'm Misty from On the Bit Magazine, and today I'm doing a book discussion on Spurred to Justice. This book is written by Alicia Martin. She's a relatively newer author, and she did such a great job. I had the privilege of meeting her this year at Equine Affair, and she was so sweet. So I bought this book, and I bought her other book, Silver Cowgirls, and we'll eventually do a book discussion on that one. But with this, it's an ongoing book discussion, which means that if you have thoughts or comments, you can provide them below in the comments, and we'll just talk about it, or you can put your thoughts about the book or what you thought about certain parts of the book, and I will be giving the link of this to Alicia as well. So you never know, the author could maybe make a comment on your comment. So if you would like to participate, that is how you do it. If you're getting to this video and you haven't read this book yet, don't watch this until you've read the book, because we're going to be talking about things that happen in the book, and it's going to spoil it for you. So if you're not a fan of spoilers, then by all means, save this for later and come back to it and talk to us about what you thought about the book. If I was going to rate this book kind of like how they do movies, I would say that it's for a mature audience because of there's a little bit of language and there's a little bit of innuendos for adults. So if you are thinking about letting your kids read this, maybe read through it yourself and see if you feel like it's appropriate for them. But I would say this is for mature adults. For the synopsis. Jessica McCoy spent the last 2 years pretending her husband's death was an accident. While her adopted daughter and nanny concoct a potion to help Jess find a new husband, Jess is called to rescue a sexy Australian horse whisperer who is stranded near her Lancaster County farm because of a storm. Is it fate, or did the girl's potion deliver him? Meanwhile, FBI agent Sam Quaid is tracking an illegal adoption ring that leads him to the doorstep of his old flame, Jess McCoy. His investigation will uncover secrets that could rip Jess's world apart. Sam must choose between his job, the safety of hundreds of helplessly enslaved victims, and the woman he's always loved. Can the magical Australian save them, or will jealousy and hatred divide them forever? I thought it might be fun to get on my Amazon account and read a few of the reviews. There's a lot of reviews of this. Out of 5 stars, it got 4.6, and I really liked it. I thought it was a great book. It's so packed full of just action, and it wasn't one that I could put down easily, and I really like books like that, because if they're boring, I really struggle to get through it. And then at the same time, I am not a person that can start a book and then stop in the middle, whether I hate it or not. I have to finish it, and I really liked this book. So if you're a fan of action, mystery, and horses, then you'll probably really like it. That being said, I feel like there was a lot to do with horses, but it was kind of in the background of all the other things that were going on. So I feel like whether you're an equestrian or not, you would like this book. But yeah, let's read a few of the reviews. This book kept teasing me to read more and more. Intrigue, horses, and love kept my interest until the very end. You have to read this series. Oh, and it is a part of a series. I forgot to mention. This is book 1. I love the characterization. I especially would love to meet Jax, who is the Australian. I was caught off guard by the ending, as the villain was not who I expected it to be. Yeah, and I agree with that. The scenes with the horses were important to the story without stealing the show, so to speak. The turmoil within each character was believable, as was the resolution. I thoroughly enjoyed it and finished it in 3 sittings. I kept telling myself I would just read to the end of the chapter, but when I read to the end of that chapter, there was enough of a tease that I had to go on to the next. I was pleased with the ending, but not pleased that it ended. I really, really enjoyed this book. And I completely agree with that. Alicia did a really good job at the end of every chapter of just leaving a little bit of a tease, so you had to find out what happened. But then it's kind of annoying because it's always like that, so you can't put the book down. A wonderful suspense story with romance. I binge read this book. I couldn't wait to turn the page. The author has thorough knowledge of horses. I highly recommend this book, A+. So, if you have thoughts, let us know what they are. I hope this isn't too long of a discussion. I just wrote down a bunch of my thoughts, but it was really hard for me to sit down and just go from chapter to chapter and make a thought, because there's so much that's going on. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that I don't hit on and a lot of stuff that I do. So if you have something that you want to discuss more about in the book that I don't talk about, absolutely feel free. In our very first chapter, we meet the heroine, Jess McCoy. She's attending a fancy function with her attorney husband, Robert, when he inexplicably dies of what seems to be a heart attack. At first, when I read this, I thought heart attack too, but once you get toward the end of the chapter, it's like, foul play! And hopefully, I'm sure you obviously probably got that too, but the conversation between Congressman Haley and Robert, especially where he says we need to discuss our mutual problem on page 4, like, come on now, something's not right. Federal agent Sam Quaid was also at the party, waiting for a call from Robert, expecting him to confess. Confess to what? Soon we meet Anna, Jess's adopted daughter, and Selah, who's an orphan from Harmony House for Girls. She stays on the farm to help Jess and Anna. When reading through chapter 2, Jess is speaking to Philip, Robert's nephew, and he makes it sound as though the thing to which Robert needed to confess to was that Anna's adoption was anything but legal. Jess shuts it down, not wanting to lose her daughter, which is completely understandable. Philip seems dirty from the very beginning to me, kind of like a mongrel that just wants to keep sniffing and poking around when no one wants him there. At that point, there's a big storm coming up. She wants him to leave. He won't, but she knows that he'll get stuck at her farm because anytime there's a big storm, the bridge washes out. Jess did get someone stuck at her farm, but it wasn't Philip. It was the Australian horse whisperer, Jackson Bay, who was in town to perform with his herd of horses. They have immediate chemistry, and you think this is going to be one of those Hallmark movies where you can kind of guess where it's going to go, which, I mean, those are great when you just really need something that you want to watch and you can kind of guess what's going to happen. So it starts like that, but there's enough twists and turns in the book that Alicia keeps you guessing, which is great. Right off the bat, though, Jess is extremely attracted to the Aussie, and who wouldn't be? Dude sounds like Crocodile Dundee mixed with Robert Redford. Meanwhile, back at the house alone, while Jess is off rescuing Jax from the flooded-out bridge, Selah swears she sees a man lurking outside of the house in the storm, and the dog keeps barking. Okay, hear me out. Jax is alluded to from the very beginning, and like at that point, Robert hadn't died yet, but it almost seemed like there was an importance to Jax from the very first chapter. And right before Robert died, those were the tickets that Jess was trying to find. So it alludes that there's an importance to him. And I thought maybe he was a baddie. That was my first inclination, was that he was a bad guy, or he was like part of the illegal stuff. On page 41, it talks about Jax meeting the girls after the dramatic rescue, and Jess's dog sits at his feet wagging his tail. The chapter ends with, whoever this man was, Bandit was positive he wasn't the intruder that had stalked them earlier. I really thought that Alicia was trying to divert here, making you think he was a good guy when he was really a bad guy. Maybe I was just thinking too much into it, but those were my thoughts. Or like maybe he was working in tandem with the guy that was lurking outside of the house, spying on the girls. Moving slightly backward, we're reintroduced to Sam, the federal agent. Let me just say there is a lot of action in this book. Literally every chapter is dripping with it. Anyway, we follow Sam as he tries to take down a notorious gang leader, Bongo Cruz, who imprisons girls who were brought illegally into the country to transfer to different places for labor and to sell their bodies. And with as big as the human trafficking thing is right now, I thought that it was so great that Alicia brings attention to it in her book. So it's like, you got ponies, you got this really massive issue that's going on, and you got love, you've got all the things. Unfortunately, Bongo gets away, but not before killing Sam's partner, Tony, and threatening the life of Sam's daughter, who was in the same town as Jess. Later, he's talking with his captain about the botched takedown of Bongo, He wants his captain to assign an agent to protect his daughter, who we still don't know what her identity is at this point. Little does he know that he is getting assigned to his daughter, and we learn that though he tries to support her financially, he hasn't seen his daughter in years, mostly thinking that he's protecting her this way. Sam is assigned a new partner and learns a new aspect to the Bongo Cruise case, baby selling, which is like immediately, that whole thing was completely illegal. It had to have been. He gets the stolen girls pregnant and then sells the babies to people who can't have kids on their own. Sam is assigned a new partner, Connie, who will pose as one of the girls to learn more information while Sam keeps an eye out for his daughter. And then we learn the big twist that Selah is Sam's daughter, and she is the girl staying with Jess, who he cheated on. There's just so many twists and turns in this book, but it's not bad in that you could follow it the entire time. But like, what are the chances that the girl that's staying at Jess's house to help her around the farm is also the daughter of the man that she was supposed to marry but didn't because he cheated on her? But yeah, Sam and Jess have history there. Big history. So now we know that there's going to be a huge love triangle between Sam, Jax, and Jess. Who's going to win out? Who did you think was going to win out? Honestly, I thought for sure it was going to be Jax because of how much she was attracted to him. Plus, he was staying on his farm. He was mysterious. He was hunky. He can ride a horse. I mean, what girl doesn't like that? But there's history between Sam and Jess. So I'd love to know who you thought Jess was going to end up in the beginning with. Once Sam rolls into Seven Springs, we meet his godfather, Police Commissioner Jack Dade, as he settles into the local police office, where he'll be based while protecting Selah. Jack, it turns out, was good friends with Sam's dad, who is also a police officer. He's not there long before a call comes in for a shooting with a girl dead at the nail salon that Connie is positioned at. Loads of drama. Thinking it's his partner, Sam rushes to the scene only to find out that it's not Connie that's dead. It's one of the imprisoned girls that was trying to run away. Connie confirms that the nail salon is a front for Bongo's operation and that she was accepted into it. Meanwhile, both Jess and Sam are informed about her late husband's storage unit getting ransacked. Constant action. Constant. Back at the farm, Anna is completely taken by Jax, which is another reason why I thought for sure that Jess was going to end up with him, because her daughter just fell in love with him too. He's helping her train her pony Charlie, who she had a bad accident on and hadn't ridden in a few years. He's also captivated Jess, who he's giving a close lesson in horse whispering to when Sam arrives at the farm and interrupts their interlude. Grr. Surprised to see him after several years and still hurt by what he did to her, understandably so. Jess wants him to leave until she finds out that he's there on business and what business he's there on. Giving her a bit of space, he decides to tell Jess that the FBI has reopened the case of Robert's mysterious death. I don't know why, but I thought Jess was kind of... I know she's a smart lady, but how in the world did you not automatically suspect that your husband's death was anything but natural? There's so many things that point to the opposite, and I think she's a little... I don't know if it's so much that she's trying not to be wise to it because of Anna. She wants to keep Anna. She doesn't want things to get opened up. So, maybe a part of her knows that he was killed, but at the same time, she doesn't want to find out why, because she also doesn't want to lose her daughter. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. The next morning, Philip is in Jess's kitchen, finally able to get back out to the farm after the storm washed out the bridge. He's upset because Sam, the FBI agent, is staying at the farm and poking his nose around where it doesn't belong. And man, everything about Philip is completely sleazy from the beginning. I would love to know what your picture, how you kind of create these pictures of the characters in your head. I would love to know what your description of Philip was in your head as you're reading. But in my mind, I pictured this middle-aged, partially balding man with greasy black hair, bad breath, and a long, crooked nose. He starts to get angrier and angrier, grabbing Jess forcefully. Up until this point in the story, I felt like Sam kind of got what he deserved, cheating on Jess. But I was so glad for the next bit. Jess shook her head in denial. Philip grabbed her waist. Let's go and talk to Jake right now. She struggled to free herself. You've lost it. Let go. What do you mean, someone influential? He stumbled into her, shoving her against the table. I told you we have to talk. You need... Something yanked him back. Surprisingly, Jess was relieved to see Sam. Like, oh, I love a dude that protects. I know there's a reason, and obviously if you've read all the way through the book, you know why Sam cheated on Jess in the beginning, and it had nothing to do with the fact that he didn't love her, he was drunk, and other things, but I am not okay with people cheating 100%. But I really loved this part. It made me think better of Sam in the beginning. And then as the book goes along, I started to like him more and more. Jess is obviously a strong lady, but I love when a good man steps into protection mode, and I cheered when I read that part. Like, yeah, get the sleazeball, Sam. Even though it's alluded throughout the book up to this point, you really see that Sam is still in love with Jess here. Here, and again, soon when they go to check out Robert's ransacked storage unit, when he pushes her out of the way of a mysterious car that's there to run her over, someone was out to kill her. And I kind of figured this was only a matter of time. Somebody killed her husband under bad circumstances, and if they want the information enough, they're going to try to kill her too, to just gain access to whatever the information was. So it was a good thing that Sam was around. After the attempted murder, Commissioner Dade is back on the scene. He's found out that his small town is actually the center of a huge human trafficking ring, and stupidly, I thought, Sam tells him about Connie posing undercover. The one sentence that really caught me here was, Sam thought perhaps he'd entrusted Dade with a little too much information. I immediately was like, Dade's a baddie, Connie is dead. I wasn't too far off. Later, Philip, who is beat to a pulp by some baddies, yeah, go baddies, tells Jess that Robert was involved with the adoption ring of the Later, Philip, who is beat to a pulp by some baddies, yeah, baddies, tells Jess that Robert was involved with the adoption ring of the pregnant and imprisoned girls. It's insinuated that Anna is part of the illegal adoption ring. He tells her that she better come up with the information and evidence that the baddies are looking for to destroy fast, or she would lose her daughter. He also tells her at this point that Robert was murdered, which she seems to have a hard time believing. And this is the part where I thought she was kind of daft. There's so many things to make you think immediately that Robert's death was no accident. From the very beginning, people are following her. Philip is constantly around wanting to get into Robert's office. The FBI are showing up. Like, really, Jess? Come on. But still, she refused to think her husband would do something bad. And again, I think that it was partially she didn't want to lose her daughter. Jess decides to finally look around Robert's office 2 years after his death and finds a note from him with a combination to a safety deposit box. When she opens the box the next day at the bank, it has a blank card inside. How fast did it take you to kind of catch that the blank card, hello, he gave you a pen, it doesn't write, you found this blank card, invisible ink. Sorry, literal squirrel on my back porch. So yeah, how long did it take for you to figure out that the blank card had a message written in invisible ink is my question. I put 2 and 2 together pretty fast. But yeah, not long after that bombshell, there was another one. Congressman Haley, who was present at the same party right before Robert died, is on the TV, and a passing waitress talks about how he's a good family man with an adopted daughter who's close to Anna's age. Immediately, he's part of the illegal adoption ring, and something is screwy here. How screwy? I couldn't figure that out at that point, but I knew he was part of it. A few sentences later, Sam is scolding Jess for sharing investigation pictures with Jax. Her response, so what if I was? He's truly concerned and caring. Again, this made me think that Jax was a baddie and that he had infiltrated Jess's home because she trusts him too much, too fast, because he's hot and mysterious. In the next few chapters, Jess figures out that Robert was supposed to meet with Sam the night he was murdered. She follows him to a local bar to find out why and finds out that he's with another woman in a rented room. Obviously, he's with his partner being debriefed on the situation with Bongo's operation. But this was the first point in the story where I started to lean away from Jess falling in love with Jax because of her jealousy and knowing that Sam is with another woman here. She still loved him even after what he did with her or did to her in the past. The next big bombshell was learning that Sam's father did not, in fact, commit suicide, but that Dade, his friend and Sam's godfather, actually murdered him after being bribed with drug money by Bongo to protect someone higher up from getting busted. At this point, we don't find out who that person is, but I had a hunch. Screwy, something screwy, remember? Sam's dad wanted to do the right thing, and Dade wanted the money. They struggled, and Sam's dad's gun went off, killing him. It is true what they say about money being the root of all evil. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it can turn a good person into a bad person. I don't know. And it's true what they say about the truth setting us free. Sam blamed himself for his dad's death, which led him to get drunk and cheat on Jess. Now, with the burden of that blame gone, he can move forward without it on his shoulders. A little bit later, Selah gives Jess a box of mementos, and in the box is a letter that Sam had written her after he messed up. After reading that, I knew that Jess was going to forgive Sam and they would end up together after all. Dear Jessie, I tried to contact you today, but you refused my call. I want you to know I'm sorry for betraying your trust. You were and are still the only girl I ever loved. You have to believe it was a one-night stand in a drunken haze. My father's death was so difficult. I made a mistake I'll have to live with for the rest of my life. I've tried to do right and be a father, but I seem to make a mess of everything. I think my daughter would be happier without me. I would change everything to see you. I'm leaving Monday to join the academy, something I was going to do before his death. I'm sure he'll be turning in his grave. It doesn't matter anymore, does it? He made sure of that. I wish you all the happiness that I would have wanted for us. All my heart, Sam. After reading that, I knew that Jess was going to forgive Sam and they were going to end up together. So at that point, I was like, okay, I guess I'm Team Sam. Moving toward the end of the book, Jess decides to take action and pretend that she'd found the evidence that Philip said the baddies were looking for. She calls him to say that she has it and that she'll deliver it to him at the same ball where Robert died 2 years ago. She knew that there was something wrong with people at the ball. She knew that they were going to be there. This time, she knew that's where she would have to take the evidence to. Meanwhile, Sam finally gets Bongo, but is haunted by his threats, so it doesn't feel like a closed door. You have it all wrong, Cruz screamed louder as Sam stood at the door of his car staring at the scene. There was no relief as Sam had imagined. It was the end of his career, and he'd caught one of the most treacherous monsters on Earth. But it was all too easy, as if Bongo had been the sacrificial lamb. Like, how annoying would that be whenever you're chasing somebody for your entire career just to catch them and then there's no resolution? I just think that would be so annoying. That, and then when I read the last sentence in that chapter, I was like, I know who it is, Congressman Haley. All of the signs pointed to him from the very beginning, and then I had to go back and reread chapter 1. Sam's dad was killed because he wanted to arrest him. Then Robert was killed because he wanted to bring him down. Men in high places kill a lot of people to retain their power. At the fundraiser gala, Sam introduces himself to Haley, and Haley says to Sam, "You have your father's eyes, Mr. Quaid. Don't be too righteous. It only leads to trouble." And that was the clincher for me. Like, I know who it is. I know who the baddie is. We also finally find out how Robert died. How many of you knew from the beginning, or how long did it take you, I should say, to know that it was Philip that did it? I didn't figure it out from the beginning, but the more I read the book and the more sleazy it turned out to be, I was like, he did something bad. I kind of thought that Robert was part of the bad illegal adoption ring. Like, I thought Anna was part of it, like he had set all that stuff up, and then he knew that he was doing wrong, so he was trying to, like, not cover it up, but come forward. And Philip was actually the one that did it, and Robert was the good guy. So yeah, I mean, I knew he was sleazy, but I didn't think he would kill his own uncle. But how long did it take you to figure that out? Because for me, it took a second. Moving right along, we're back at the house where Philip, mad that he didn't receive their real evidence, has taken Selah and Anna hostage to get Jess to give him the real evidence. I figured this one out a while back as soon as Jess talked about her pen that didn't work, finding the blank note card, But she finally figures it out here, which is all part of the story plot, you know. So she finally reads the note from Robert about Philip covering up the scandal about Congressman Haley, pinning Haley to money laundering and drug running scheme with Bongo and trying to bring them all down together. He tells her that Anna's adoption is legal. I was so glad to find out that I was wrong about Robert from the beginning. Like, he's dirty, but I was wrong, and I was so glad that I was, especially because from a resolution standpoint at the end of the story, you want to know that Jess is going to be okay, and that Anna's going to be okay, and that Sam's going to be okay. I loved this part. Sam, she said, squeezing him, attempting to prevent his fall, but he was too heavy and his body slid along hers. Sam latched onto her waist beneath the jacket and knelt by Jess's side. Another shot blistered the air, but this time it wasn't from Philip. Blood curdled from Philip's mouth as he dropped to his knees, rocked for a second, and then landed on the floor with a smack. His hand landed clenched at Sam's knee. I thought that was a fitting end for sleazeball Philip being killed by the same people that he was trying to work with. Like, you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So I thought that was a fitting end for Philip. Toward the end, I really loved how Alicia kind of put everything together. Like, it was almost like puzzle piece by puzzle piece that was just starting to fit together. And even things that I thought that I could figure out at the beginning that turned out to be wrong at the end was just, I mean, I love that when it kind of keeps you guessing. And she does a really great job of keeping you guessing throughout the books. And like I said in the beginning, I loved this book because I didn't feel like I could put it down. There was just so much stuff. There's so many teases and there's so much action, and I liked how I wavered between things like Team Jax, no, now I'm Team Sam, and Robert's a bad guy, but no, he's actually a guy. I will say that there was one thing at the end when Jax went in to save Sam, and Sam had mentioned something about him that he would have made a great agent. I thought, is he though? Is he going to be like, well, I'm actually an undercover agent for blah, 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 blah. But then he didn't. So, but I had that thought. There was so much to discuss about this book just because there's so many twists and turns and things. So if there was something that caught your attention or that you had a thought about, go ahead and leave it below. And yeah, I didn't want this video to be 5 hours long. So I loved this book. I hope you loved it too. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching.